I'm Mark Wallace. I'm a full-time traveler. In 2016, I left the United States with the goal of riding my motorcycle across every continent except Antarctica. I wanted to see the world, and because nobody was crazy enough to do it with me, I decided I'd do it alone. It took me 3 years, but I finally did it. And then I just kept going. I'm still riding, still exploring, and my wanderlust is untamed. My name is Mark Wallace, and these are my stories. This story is about South America, and specifically Patagonia. That's the southernmost part of Latin America that is shared by Chile and Argentina. Now, I'd been invited to come south by Ayleen Martinez. Now, she is an adventure rider and a motorcycle rider that I've been following on social media, but we'd never actually met in person. And she told me that if I could make it all the way south to Coyhaique, Chile, that she would show me the Carretera Austral. Now, that is Route 7, which is the road that winds through the most remote regions of Chile. And so I just thought, why not? I'll zip down, I'll meet Ayleen, we'll see the Chilean side of the Andes Mountains in Patagonia, and then I'll cross over into Argentina and ride all the way south to Ushuaia. That is as far south as you can go in the Americas. And so this story begins in the little town of Puerto Varas. I rode south from Puerto Varas to Puerto Montt. That's where the Carretera Austral officially begins, on Route 7. South of Puerto Montt, there's all kinds of waterways, and I would need to cross on 2 ferries. One during the day, it's a pretty short ferry crossing, but I had a very long ferry crossing later that night. So I caught my very first ferry, and it was fantastic. It was my introduction to the Carretera Austral, and I was getting my first glimpse of the beauty that lay ahead. Once the ferry reached the other shore, I was able to ride through the mountains to the town of Hornopirén. That's where my second ferry would depart, but not for another 9 hours. I'm waiting here for the ferry for 8 hours or 9 hours, something like that. Look at all these. So many. My favorite one of all has to be this. Wrong way around. That's great. I spent the day enjoying the view and drinking a lot of coffee. I also met a wonderful little dog, and we had some great conversations about cookies. Eventually, the sun set, and the midnight ferry arrived. After a few sleepless hours on the ferry, I arrived at Coleta, Gonzal. Then I rode in the pre-dawn hours to the town of Chaitén, where I was able to rest. The next day, I made the final push south to Coyhaique. As you can tell, that was one of my favorite riding days. But eventually, I made it to Coyhaique, where I caught up with Ayleen at the local BMW shop. She was meeting with some fans and some fellow riders to talk about her travels and to give them some riding tips.
I was happy to finally meet Mark. I was excited to show him the Carretera Austral and the beauty of Patagonia. I cooked him lunch and we told each other travel stories.
After lunch, we took a short day trip from Coyhaique to Puerto Aysen. I want to introduce you to Ayleen. She is from Patagonia and she lives in Coyhaique. She rode from the farthest south point in the Americas all the way to the northernmost point of the Americas on her motorcycle solo. But she really knows Patagonia. She grew up here, and so she has decided to be my guide. And we are right now in, what's the name of this city?
Puerto Aysen.
Puerto Aysen. We just came from Coyhaique. It sounds like
Coyhaique. Coyhaique.
Sounds like a bad pronunciation of karaoke.
Coyhaique.
Coyhaique.
Karaoke.
It's like karaoke.
You always say that.
Yeah, it is.
Do you like Patagonia?
I love Patagonia.
Yeah. Very beautiful. I like it. It's a nice place.
The following day, we began our ride south and headed to the tiny village of Puerto Murta. It's a national park, and it's very rare to see any Huemul here, but we saw two.
Yeah, it's very lucky. Two. I never see again a Huemul in this road, and now two for Mark.
Two for me, except for I was trying to get my motorcycle parked, and you, I didn't get a picture. Tell us again where we are.
We are in Bahía Murta. This is the General Carrera Lake, and we are very close to Puerto Rio Tranquilo. And this is the avenue, the main avenue of this little town. Little town. It's perfect.
This is consomme soup. We're eating at the end of the world. I don't know.
This is the end of the world.
This is the end of the world.
We have beer, so we're happy.
Beer, consomme. The next morning, we said goodbye to Puerto Murta. We packed our things and headed south to our first major destination. We rode from Puerto Murta to Rio Tranquilo. We found a little place. It's right by a lake. Living room. This is Ayleen's room in here. This is my room in here. Yeah. Why do I get flowers? Little kitchen and a workspace. Tomorrow it's a full day of hiking through some glaciers, like through the caves in the glaciers, and that's going to be the first Patagonia video. But it's been really rainy and the roads are a lot more off-road than I anticipated, and you can sort of see it's just been dirt, and a lot of riding. So today it's a day of catching up on some rest, and yep, rest. It is before sunrise, and we are going now. Are you there? Yeah. Yes. Ayleen is here, and we are going to meet our tour guide. We have to go with the guide to the ice caves and the glacier, and I'm not a morning person at all. So this is a challenge for me already.
Wow.
So, but it's beautiful here. It's a blue hour. All right, let's get to the guide. Somehow, Ayleen convinced me to wake up again.
Very early in the morning.
Tranquilo means tranquil, calm,
Quiet.
beautiful. The real name of this is Chilenco, see?
Chilenco Lake, yeah.
Chilenco Lake. And Chilenco means strong waves.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you something. We just took a boat ride, and I think I fractured at least 2 discs in my spine because the tranquil, oh, bam!
Yes.
Bam!
It was very, very heavy.
It was bad.
Chilenco Lake.
It's Chilenco, it's no tranquilo.
No tranquilo.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go to a doctor, I think, now. I'm dying. We rode from Rio Tranquilo to Puerto Bertrand. We met up with a fellow adventure rider and enjoyed a fantastic lunch. Then, I spent some time at the lake recording videos for Adorama TV. The next day, we continued south to Cochrane so we could get some work done. After spending some time with another 4-legged friend, we finally arrived in Cochrane. We found some basic lodging, a nice place to work, and unbelievably, the world's slowest internet connection. Once we left Cochrane, we were excited to cross the Andes and enter Argentina. Once we crossed the border, we would ride east to Bajo Caracoles and then turn south on the famous Route 40. And we were really looking forward to riding all the way south to El Chaitén. And then we would spend some time there, take some photos, explore things, and then ride even farther south to El Calafate. Now, I'd been to both of these towns before, and I'd photographed Mount Fitzroy and the valley below, and I couldn't wait to go back and see them again with Ayleen. Ayleen! It's windy! border of Argentina, and outside it is so windy. You can't really see here, but just blowing our bikes over. And Ayleen has been blown over 2 times, and I'm lucky to be on my feet, so the next 100 kilometers are going to be insane. Ayleen, what do you think of this, what we're doing?
It's very windy and dangerous for us.
Everything was perfect when suddenly my motorcycle turned off. I was very worried because we couldn't pass the night in the middle of the windy road. I thought this must be an electrical problem. Could it be a problem with the battery? We would have to ask for help. I've never had a problem before, even on my trip to Alaska. When I discovered that the problem was not the fuse, I knew it was going to be complicated. Yeah, it's funny just right now, but there's no funny in that moment.
Luckily, there's a police station here in the middle of nowhere, and they were able to get us back to this little town, and there's some mechanics here that maybe are going to be able to fix things.
Esta pobre batería que le está consumiendo. ¿Está más gruesa?
Pero sí.
O sea, dio mejor.
Sí, dio mejor.
Hay que limpiarlo esto.
¿Tienen los cables? Si tienen los cables, sí, porque...
I think my trip ends here, unfortunately. How sad. I'm very sad. I can't accompany Mark to the Chaitén. The motorcycle is not in good conditions. I must go back. I'm really very sad at this moment.
We found a hotel here in Bajo Caracoles. It's not extravagant, but all things considered, it's not so bad.
We are here in Patagonia in the middle of nothing.
Nothing.
But we are very, very happy. And we will have a dinner.
Yummy dinner. This is going to be, look at this ambiance. The swing and a flashing light. And yeah.
Hola.
Max is the mechanic who is helping out.
Javier
is the chef.
Carrito el Viajero, Bajo Caracoles.
This is such a great place. This is the meal. Homemade pasta and bread.
Mark is alive, Ayleen too.
Nobody's hurt. Everybody's good. Not a bad day.
We realize that we are really very professional riders.
The next day, I said goodbye to Ayleen. She was in good spirits and was able to find some friends to help her transport her motorcycle to Puerto Moreno for repairs, and eventually return to Coyhaique. I skipped Calafate and Chaitén and rode directly to Ushuaia. The weather was turning sour, and I was beginning to hear rumors of border closures and quarantines. The coronavirus had not yet arrived in South America, but it was clear that things were about to change. Time was not on my side. The ride through the Pampas was uneventful. The only danger were the thousands of Guanaco that would suddenly appear on the road without warning. Hitting one of these guys would certainly be bad. After 3 days of riding, I arrived in Ushuaia. So I made it to the end of the road. I got to Ushuaia. I got to the very southern point. I was taking some photos, and this weird thing happened where some people from a tour bus recognized me from YouTube, and they ran over and wanted some photos, and then that meant that people that didn't know who I was thought I was somebody who I wasn't, and then they wanted photos, and it just got to be this weird, uncomfortable thing where I was taking selfies with a ton of strangers, and the whole thing was sort of ruined. It was really sort of strange. And I think that is sort of a metaphor for the old adage about it's not the destination, it's the journey. And that is absolutely true of this story. The thing that I remember is getting there. All the stuff that I did along the way, all the little dogs that I met, the meals that I had, the fun that I had with Ayleen, her breaking down and how we sort of went through that, and the people that we met in the little teeny town where we were. It was definitely about the journey. Well, after Ushuaia, I rode north into Buenos Aires, which is where I am right now, and then quarantine came down. And so I've been in a quarantine here for over 7 months. It's one of the most strict and longest quarantines in the world. But that is a story for a different video.